Their friend said this about you. My beloved soul. Don't skip. There is a reason you were led here today, and it is not accidental. Somewhere, in a conversation you did not hear, in a moment you were not present for, your name was spoken. Not casually. Not lightly. It carried weight. It carried emotion. It carried truth. Their friends spoke about you in a way that surprised even them. They said you are different. They noticed how your presence changes the atmosphere. How when your name comes up, the tone shifts. Their friends said you are not just someone who passed through their life. You are someone who left a mark. A deep one. The kind that does not fade with time, distance, or silence. My beloved soul, they talked about your strength. They said you carry yourself with a quiet power. Even when you are hurting, even when you are tired, even when you feel unsure, there is something steady about you. Their friends noticed that you do not chase attention, yet attention finds you. You do not beg for respect, yet respect follows you. Don't skip. They said you have a heart that feels deeply. That when you care fully. That you love in a way that is rare in this world. Their friends said that you give without keeping score, that you listen without judging, that you stand by people even when it costs you something. And this made them pause. Because in a world full of surface-level connections, you came with depth. In a time where people leave at the first sign of discomfort, you stayed longer than most would. Their friends said that your patience is not weakness, but wisdom. That your silence is not emptiness, but understanding. My beloved soul, one of them said, they don't even realize how powerful they are. Another said, anyone who ends up with them is lucky. These words were not said to flatter you. They were said because your energy speaks louder than your words. They noticed how you inspire growth. Without forcing it. Without controlling it. Just by being who you are. Their friends said that after you entered their life, they began to see things differently. They became more aware of their actions, their choices, their responsibilities. You held up a mirror without trying to. Don't skip. They also spoke about your pain. Yes, they noticed that too. They said you have been through things you don't talk about. That your smile sometimes hides exhaustion. That your kindness has been tested more times than it should have been. Yet, you did not let bitterness win. My beloved soul, this is important. Their friends said that you have a calming presence. That when you walk into a room, people feel safe. Not because you fix everything, but because you understand. Because you don't make people feel small for being human. They talked about how you respect boundaries. How you don't force love. How you don't manipulate emotions. In a world where games are played, you are honest. And that honesty is rare. Don't skip. One of their friends said something that stayed in the air longer than the rest. They said, they are not just meant for anyone. They are meant for something real. That sentence changed the energy of the conversation. Because deep down, they all knew it was true. They said you are the kind of person who comes into someone's life not to entertain them, but to transform them. Not to distract them, but to awaken them. You bring clarity, even if it's uncomfortable at first. My beloved soul, they noticed how you don't rush connections. How you value meaning over excitement. How you would rather have one deep bond than many shallow ones. Their friends said that you don't love loudly for the world, but deeply for the soul. Don't skip. They also said something else. They said that losing you would be a loss that takes time to understand. That people often realize your value only after distance creates silence. Because your absence is louder than your presence ever was. They said you are the kind of person people think they will always have access to. Until one day, they don't. And that realization changes everything. My beloved soul, hear this clearly. Their friends did not speak about you with doubt. They spoke about you with respect. With admiration. With a sense of knowing that you are not ordinary. They said that you deserve someone who sees you, not someone who only benefits from you. Someone who protects your heart, not tests it. Someone who values your consistency, not takes advantage of it. Don't skip. This message is not here to inflate your ego. It is here to remind you of who you are. Because sometimes, when you give too much, you forget your own worth. When you are always understanding, you forget that you also deserve understanding. Their friends saw what you sometimes overlook. Your value. Your depth. Your sincerity. And as this journey continues, remember this. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You are simply asking the right things from the wrong places. And that is changing. My beloved soul, stay grounded. Stay true. Stay open, but not unguarded. The right connections recognize your worth without needing to be convinced. Don't skip. What was said about you has already set things into motion. Conversations create awareness. Awareness creates reflection. And reflection leads to change. This is only the beginning. My beloved soul. Don't skip. After those words were spoken about you, something shifted quietly behind the scenes. You may not see it yet, but the energy around your name has changed. Their friends did not just talk and forget. Those words stayed. They echoed. They planted thoughts that could not be ignored. Some of them began to look at you differently. Not with curiosity, but with respect. They started connecting dots. Moments. Memories. Small actions of yours that suddenly made sense. Things you did without expecting credit now appeared meaningful. My beloved soul, one friend said you are consistent. Not perfect, but real. And that mattered. They said you show up the same way even when no one is watching. In a world where people perform for attention, you live from truth. That made them uncomfortable in a good way. Don't skip. Another friend said you carry emotional intelligence. You understand silence. You read between words. You sense shifts before they happen. They said you don't react impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. And that kind of maturity is rare. They noticed how you don't rush people. You allow them to be who they are, but you never lose yourself in the process. That balance is something many people struggle with, and they saw it clearly in you. My beloved soul, they talked about how you challenge without attacking. How you speak truth without cruelty. How you set boundaries without drama. One of them said, they don't raise their voice, yet you feel them. That sentence carried weight. Don't skip. Some of their friends admitted something silently. They said if they were in that position, they would not take you lightly. They would not play games with you. Because they know people like you do not come twice into someone's life. They also said that you have a healing presence. That people open up to you without trying. That secrets find their way to you because you feel safe. Not safe because you agree with everything, but safe because you listen without using someone's vulnerability against them. My beloved soul, they noticed how you don't chase validation. You don't need constant reassurance. You don't beg for clarity. You value honesty, and when it's missing, you feel it deeply. Their friends said that this is why confusion around you never lasts long. Either people step up, or they fall away. Don't skip. They spoke about your patience, but also about your limits. They said you give chances, but not endlessly. That when you decide to pull back, you do it quietly, with dignity. No scenes. No revenge. Just distance. And that kind of exit leaves a lasting impact. One friend said something powerful. They said, they teach people how to treat them, even when they leave. That sentence stayed heavy in the room. Because they all knew it was true. My beloved soul, they began to question intentions. Not yours, but their own. Your presence brought self-reflection. It made them ask whether they were showing up fully, honestly, and responsibly. You became a mirror without saying a word. Don't skip. They also noticed your faith in timing. How you don't force outcomes. How you trust that what is meant for you will not miss you. That calm confidence confused some of them at first. But then they understood. You are not afraid of being alone. You are afraid of being somewhere you don't belong. They said you value peace more than attachment. Growth more than comfort. And that makes you powerful in ways many people don't understand until later. My beloved soul, one of them said that you are emotionally rich. Not because of what you have, but because of how you love. You give presence. You give attention. You give effort. And those are things money cannot buy. Don't skip. They spoke about how you respect yourself. Even when you care deeply, you do not abandon your values. Even when you feel strongly, you do not cross your own boundaries. That self-respect is something people feel instantly around you. They also said you are selective. Not closed, but careful. You don't let everyone into your inner world. And when you do, it means something. That made them realize that access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. My beloved soul, their friends said that your energy lingers. Even when you are not present, people feel you. They replay conversations. They remember your words. They feel the space you once filled. Don't skip. They acknowledged something else too. They said that you have been underestimated before. That people assumed you would always stay, always forgive, always understand. Until one day, you chose yourself. And that choice changed everything. They said you are not dramatic, but you are decisive. When you are done, you are done. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. And that clarity is something people remember long after. My beloved soul, understand this. The conversation about you did not end with praise. It ended with realization. Realization creates movement. Movement creates change. What was said about you is now working in your favor. Not because you needed approval, but because truth always finds its way to the surface. Don't skip. Stay grounded in who you are. Stay gentle, but not small. Stay open, but not unprotected. You are seen more than you realize, valued more than you know, and respected in rooms you've never entered. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. My beloved soul. Don't skip. As the days passed after those conversations, something subtle yet powerful began to unfold. You may not have felt it directly, but the way people spoke about you started to shape how they saw the situation. Their friends didn't just admire you from a distance. They began to protect your name when it came up. When doubts tried to rise, someone corrected them. When confusion entered the conversation, someone brought clarity. They reminded each other of your character, your consistency, and your honesty. Without you being there, your energy still spoke. My beloved soul, one friend said that you never tried to control the narrative. You never went around explaining yourself. You trusted that truth would speak for itself. And it did. That kind of self-control impressed them deeply. Don't skip. They noticed that you never lowered your standards just to keep someone close. You never compromised your values for temporary comfort. And that made them reflect on their own choices. They began to understand that real connection requires responsibility, not convenience. Someone mentioned how you communicate with intention. You don't speak to fill silence. You speak to express meaning. When you say something, it stays with people. When you stay quiet, that silence carries wisdom. Their friends said that your words land slowly, but they land deep. My beloved soul, they spoke about your loyalty. How when you commit emotionally, you do it sincerely. You don't entertain multiple directions. You focus. You invest. You care fully. And in today's world, that level of sincerity is rare. Don't skip. They also notice that you don't rush healing. You allow yourself to feel, to process, to grow. You don't pretend to be okay when you're not. But you also don't let pain turn into bitterness. Their friends said this balance is what makes you emotionally strong. One of them said you are grounded. That you don't get lost in fantasy. You understand reality, timing, and effort. You don't expect perfection, but you expect honesty. And when honesty is missing, you feel it immediately. My beloved soul, they talked about how you respect yourself even when it's difficult. How you don't beg for attention. You don't chase closure. You don't demand answers from people who are not ready to be truthful. Instead, you choose peace. Don't skip. They admitted that your calm confidence can be intimidating. Not because you are arrogant, but because you know who you are. You don't compete. You don't compare. You don't try to prove your worth. And that quiet assurance makes people look inward. They notice that you bring stability. That your presence doesn't create chaos, it creates balance. You don't add confusion to someone's life. You bring clarity, structure, and emotional safety. My beloved soul, they also recognize that you have a forgiving nature, but not a forgetful one. You forgive to free yourself, not to invite repeated harm. And when patterns repeat, you don't argue. You observe. You step back. Don't skip. Someone said that you don't react emotionally just to win an argument. You listen. You reflect. You choose your words carefully. And even when you are hurt, you try to understand before responding. That emotional maturity stood out strongly. They talked about how you don't force bonds. You allow connections to grow naturally. You don't rush intimacy. You don't pressure commitment. You let things reveal themselves over time. And that patience is a sign of wisdom. My beloved soul, they said that you are not afraid of walking away from what no longer aligns with you. Even when it hurts. Even when you care. Even when you hoped for a different outcome. You choose self-respect over attachment. Don't skip. They began to understand that you are not difficult. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are careful. You are not distant. You are selective. And these qualities protect your heart, not isolate it. They notice that you don't blame others for your pain. You take responsibility for your healing. You reflect on your lessons. You grow silently. That inner work shows, even when you don't talk about it. My beloved soul, one friend said that your presence teaches people accountability. Being around you makes people more aware of their actions, their words, and their intentions. You raise the standard without saying a word. Don't skip. They also mention that you are emotionally generous, but not careless. You give love, support, and understanding, but you don't give unlimited access. And when trust is broken, you don't dramatize it. You simply adjust your distance. They notice that you value depth over excitement, meaning over attention, peace over noise. And that choice shapes the kind of life and relationships you attract. My beloved soul, they acknowledge that you have been misunderstood before. That some people misread your silence as disinterest, your boundaries as distance, and your patience as weakness. But time revealed the truth. Don't skip. They realize that your absence is powerful. That when you step back, the space you leave behind speaks louder than words. People begin to feel what they took for granted. They start to notice the emotional support, the understanding, the effort you once gave. They said that you don't leave chaos behind you. You leave clarity. And clarity forces people to face themselves. My beloved soul, understand this deeply. The conversations about you did more than praise you. They shifted perspectives. They opened eyes. They planted seeds of realization that will continue to grow. Don't skip. You are not invisible. You are not unnoticed. You are not forgotten. You are remembered in moments of silence, in reflections, and in decisions yet to be made. Stay true to who you are. Stay rooted in your values. The right people will not need explanations. They will recognize your worth naturally. This journey is unfolding exactly as it should. My beloved soul, don't skip. As time moved forward, the conversations about you took a deeper turn. It was no longer just about what you did or how you acted. It became about how you made people feel. And that is where your true impact was revealed. Their friends said that when you are around, people feel seen. Not judged. Not rushed. Seen. They said you listen with your whole presence, not just your ears. You notice details others overlook. A change in tone. A pause in speech. A shift in energy. My beloved soul, they spoke about how safe it feels to be honest around you. That people don't feel the need to pretend or perform. Your energy invites authenticity. And that kind of space is rare in a world full of masks. Don't skip. They notice that you don't use someone's vulnerability as power over them. You treat trust as something sacred. When someone opens up to you, you protect that moment. You don't expose it. You don't weaponize it. And this made them respect you deeply. One friend said that you bring emotional clarity. That after talking to you, things feel lighter. Not because problems disappear, but because they finally make sense. You help people sort through their thoughts without telling them what to do. My beloved soul, they talked about how you encourage growth without pressure. You don't force change. You inspire it. People want to do better around you, not because they are afraid of losing you, but because they respect you. Don't skip. They also noticed how you handle conflict. You don't avoid it, but you don't escalate it either. You address issues calmly. You choose understanding over winning. And even when emotions run high, you stay grounded. They said your maturity shows in the way you pause before reacting. In the way you consider different perspectives. In the way you choose peace without sacrificing truth. My beloved soul, their friends admitted that you have a quiet authority. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that naturally commands respect. When you speak, people listen. When you stay silent, people reflect. Don't skip. They mentioned how you respect time and energy. You don't waste either. You don't entertain meaningless drama. You don't engage in conversations that drain you. And when you step away, it is not to punish, but to protect yourself. They notice that you value emotional safety. That you create environments where people can be themselves without fear of being misunderstood. That sense of safety stays with people long after interactions end. My beloved soul, they said that you are thoughtful in ways that go unnoticed by many. Small gestures. Kind words. Genuine concern. You do these things naturally, without expecting anything in return. Don't skip. They also talked about your resilience. How you have faced disappointments without losing your softness. How you have experienced heartbreak without becoming closed off. That balance between strength and gentleness inspired them. One of them said that you don't let pain define you. You let it refine you. You learn from it. You grow through it. And that growth shows in the way you move through life now. My beloved soul, they notice that you don't compete for attention. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room. Your presence alone is enough. And that kind of confidence cannot be faked. Don't skip. They also said that you are selective with your energy. You don't give everyone access to your inner world. And when someone earns that access, you are fully present. That depth makes connections with you meaningful. They talked about how you don't rush decisions. You reflect. You pray silently. You weigh your options carefully. And when you decide, you do so with clarity and conviction. My beloved soul, they acknowledged that you have a strong sense of self. You know who you are and what you stand for. You don't bend easily under pressure. And that stability makes people feel grounded around you. Don't skip. They realize that your presence brings balance. You don't create emotional highs and lows. You create steadiness. And that steadiness is something people crave more than they realize. They also notice that you respect endings as much as beginnings. When something is over, you don't cling. You release with grace. You don't hold on to resentment. You carry lessons instead. My beloved soul, understand this clearly. The way their friend spoke about you was not accidental. It reflected the truth of who you are. Your impact is deeper than you think, wider than you see. Don't skip. You are remembered not for what you demanded, but for what you gave. Not for the noise you made, but for the peace you brought. And that kind of legacy speaks for itself. Stay aligned with your heart. Stay true to your values. What is meant for you is being drawn closer with every step you take. My beloved soul. Don't skip. As those conversations continued, something else became clear to them. You were not just spoken about with admiration, but with seriousness. Their friends began to understand that you are not someone to be taken lightly or casually. You are someone whose presence carries consequence. They said that when you enter someone's life, you bring responsibility. Not pressure, but awareness. People become more conscious of their choices, their words, and their intentions. Being connected to you requires honesty. My beloved soul, one friend said that you don't tolerate confusion for long. You may give space, you may give time, but you don't live in uncertainty. You value clarity because you value your peace. And that clarity sets a standard many people are not used to meeting. Don't skip. They noticed how you don't force emotional closeness. You allow trust to build naturally. And when it does, you protect it fiercely. You don't play with emotions, and you don't allow yours to be played with for long. They said that you are emotionally present. When you care, you show it through actions, not promises. Through consistency, not words. And that consistency makes people feel secure. My beloved soul, they talked about how you don't disappear without reason. If you pull back, there is always a cause. Not because you stopped caring, but because something stopped feeling right. And instead of arguing endlessly, you choose distance. Don't skip. They admitted that your distance is not cold. It is calm. It is controlled. It is protective. And that kind of withdrawal makes people reflect instead of react. One of them said that you don't seek revenge. You don't need to prove anyone wrong. You trust that time will reveal everything. And that confidence is something they deeply respect. My beloved soul, they also notice that you don't stay where you are undervalued. Even if it hurts. Even if you hoped for more. You recognize when effort is one-sided, and you step back without creating drama. Don't skip. They spoke about your emotional boundaries. How you are open, but not exposed. How you share, but not overshare. How you connect, but do not lose yourself. That balance makes you emotionally mature. They said that people feel comfortable around you, yet they are careful with you. Not out of fear, but out of respect. They know you see through inconsistency and mixed intentions. My beloved soul, they noticed how you value growth. You are always learning, evolving, and reflecting. You don't repeat the same lessons unnecessarily. You move forward wiser than before. Don't skip. They also talked about how you don't seek validation from others. You don't need constant reassurance to feel secure. Your sense of self comes from within. And that inner stability makes you stand out. They mentioned that you don't rush into commitments, but when you commit, you are serious. You don't treat bonds as temporary. You invest emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. My beloved soul, one friend said that you have a way of making people confront themselves. Not by accusing them, but by being consistent. Your integrity highlights what is missing in others. Don't skip. They realize that your silence often carries more meaning than arguments. When you stop explaining yourself, it's because you've already understood enough. And that silence becomes a turning point. They also acknowledge that you don't beg for effort. You believe that if someone truly values you, effort will come naturally. And if it doesn't, you accept that information without resistance. My beloved soul, they said that you are not hard to love. You are just hard to fool. And that difference matters. Don't skip. They understood that you don't chase what is unsure. You attract what is aligned. You don't settle for half-hearted connections. You wait for something real, even if it takes time. They spoke about how your presence leaves an imprint. Even after distance, people remember how you made them feel respected, understood, and valued. My beloved soul, know this. The way their friends spoke about you revealed one thing clearly. You are not meant for confusion. You are meant for depth, clarity, and purpose. Don't skip. What is aligning now is not random. It is a response to the standard you have set by simply being yourself. Continue to honor your heart. Continue to choose peace. The right people will rise to meet you where you stand. My beloved soul. Don't skip. As everything settled, as the noise faded, one final truth became clear in the hearts of those who spoke about you. You were not a passing chapter. You were a turning point. Their friends began to understand that encounters with you are not accidental. They are lessons. They are awakenings. They said that you arrive in someone's life to show them what sincerity feels like. Not through grand gestures, but through consistency. Through presence. Through honesty that doesn't need decoration. My beloved soul, they notice that you don't demand change, yet change happens around you. People begin to question their habits, their excuses, their emotional patterns. Not because you pressure them, but because your integrity highlights what needs to be addressed. Don't skip. They spoke about how you carry peace within you. Even when circumstances are uncertain, even when emotions are complex, you don't lose yourself. You anchor yourself. And that inner peace becomes something others notice and crave. They realize that you are not afraid of solitude. You don't stay busy just to avoid silence. You are comfortable being alone because you are comfortable with who you are. That strength made them reflect deeply. My beloved soul, they said, you are intentional. You don't give your time, energy, or emotions without meaning. You choose carefully. And when you choose with sincerity. Don't skip. They also understood that you are not waiting to be chosen. You are waiting to align. You don't see relationships as trophies or validations. You see them as partnerships that require effort, respect, and mutual growth. They notice that you don't rush destiny. You trust timing. You trust that what is meant for you will come with clarity, not confusion. And that trust keeps you grounded. My beloved soul, one of them said something quietly but firmly. They said that crossing paths with you changes people, whether they admit it or not. Some grow. Some resist. But no one stays the same. Don't skip. They recognize that you don't stay stuck in the past. You honor memories, but you don't live in them. You take lessons forward. You evolve. And that evolution is visible in the way you speak, the way you move, and the way you choose peace over chaos. They said that you have learned to release what no longer aligns without resentment. That you don't carry grudges, but you also don't reopen doors that taught you hard lessons. My beloved soul, they notice that you value emotional truth more than comfort. You would rather face a difficult reality than live in a beautiful illusion. And that courage defines your character. Don't skip. They also saw that you don't need to announce your worth. You live it. You don't chase approval. You don't explain yourself endlessly. You trust that those who are meant to understand you will do so naturally. They spoke about how you don't rescue people from their lessons. You support, but you don't enable. You care, but you don't carry what isn't yours to carry. My beloved soul, they realize that you are selective because you have learned the cost of giving too much to the wrong people. And instead of closing your heart, you refined it. Don't skip. They acknowledge that you are gentle, but not fragile. Kind, but not naive. Open, but not unguarded. That balance is what makes you strong. They said that your journey has shaped you into someone who values depth, loyalty, and emotional safety. And that those values will always attract what truly belongs to you. My beloved soul, understand this fully. The conversations about you were not meant to inflate you. They were meant to confirm what you already feel deep inside. You are aligned. You are growing. You are becoming more rooted in who you are meant to be. Don't skip. You don't need to rush what is unfolding. You don't need to prove anything. You are already walking in your truth. What is meant for you will recognize you without confusion. It will meet you with clarity. It will choose you without hesitation. Stay steady. Stay sincere. Stay connected to your inner peace. This path is opening exactly as it should.